Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Joe Theodore, and it's an honor to be here with you today. So, guys, let's talk a little bit about the Mars-Uranus conjunction that will be happening in about a week and a half, I think. I think the conjunction itself happens not next week. I'm recording this video on July 3rd. Not next week, but the week after, it will make a profected conjunction. But, my friends, we are under 10 degrees now. We are, I believe Mars is 7 or 8 degrees away from Uranus. Now, first, before I really begin talking about this conjunction, which we already are feeling in a very potent way. And I also want to tie in the Mercury opposite Pluto energies that we're still very much in the thick of, even though Mercury at the time of this video is at 2 degrees Leo, Pluto still at 1 degrees Aquarius. But we are feeling the Mars-Uranus energy strongly right now. Now, for me, a conjunction really is anywhere between 3, 4, even sometimes 5 degrees. I will give, in a birth chart reading, if I'm reading someone's chart, I can, if you have two planets that are within 5, if they're 5 degrees apart, maybe even 6, if I'm being generous, I will consider that a conjunction, a loose conjunction. But before, a loose conjunction, before I make these claims now, I would argue that the fact that Mars has always been co-present with Uranus since its ingress into Taurus, the influences from each other have been present all along, It's just now things are coming to the surface, if that makes any sense. So Mars, the god of war, the planet of assertiveness, the planet of independence and action, the planet of achievement, the planet of physical vitality, the planet of anger, rage, and frustration. Mars is the most masculine planet you can think of. In an archetypal sense, right? The masculine energy is the creative force, the one who initiates, the one who seeks, the one who, acts out. Where the feminine energies of life, typically Venus would be associated with this, is the receptive. It is the enjoyment and the pleasure of receiving, right? It is the I am ready and able to take on the action of the Mars energy. But that doesn't mean that doesn't mean feminine energy is weaker, because Mars' detriment is not knowing how to receive sometimes, right? Which is why Mars is associated with Aries. The doer, the seeker, and not seeker in a Sagittarius way, but one who doesn't need to receive anything. I'm going to do it all myself, right? So Mars and Taurus, again, wherever Taurus is in your birth chart, this is a very, very dominant theme. And you're probably having a lot of inclinations to take action in the Taurian part of your life, or you're maybe even dealing with anger there, or you could be dealing with too much energy, like too much going on, as far as your will to act. You might have a lot of energy to do things physically in that part of your life. You may have gotten hurt, in some physical way, because Mars is a planet of injury as well. And then Uranus, we should all kind of already know what our personal story is, since Uranus has been in Taurus for so long. I certainly know what Uranus in my Taurus sector quadrant of my birth chart means to me. And it's been chaotic, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of shifts and changes, a lot of radical transformations. And and we're dealing with Taurus, we're dealing with things that are in the material world. So Uranus has been shaking up the material earth plane in many, many ways. So again, the earth signs in our birth charts are about the parts of our life that are very roots in the ground. What are we going to do to grow something? What in my life that is a physical, touch, physical manifestation? What is in my life that is being kind of shaken up by Uranus? On the collective level, Taurus is very associated with Mother Earth. Uranus has been causing a lot of climate concerns. I don't care if you're for or against the climate change movement. But the fact of the matter is that climate change has been a conversation that has been more dominant than ever. And Uranus has been in Taurus for years now, since this conversation has really become a dominant focal point in all areas of life. Now, before I begin, my friends, even though I feel like I said that 1,000 times already, please, if you're new and you enjoy the rest of this video, I hope you stick around and watch the rest of the video. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave me a comment. I would love to know your thoughts. And yeah, anyone who is watching this, please check out my description box below. If you have not checked out my teaching portal, go check it out. Go click around. I have beautiful pre-recorded classes for sale. And that would really help the channel's growth, just financially speaking. Any support that I get through readings or through my teaching greatly helps and inspires me to continue doing the amount of free content I put out here on YouTube. And so yeah, I hope any of you guys who haven't checked out my work, you can do that below. And yes, most importantly, if you would like to book a reading with me and connect with me via Zoom, we can have a gorgeous, gorgeous reading together. Mars conjunct Uranus. In my opinion, we're not at a conjunction just yet. But we are feeling the application of Mars moving towards Uranus very potently now. Now, trigger warning. Like my video yesterday, I'm going to talk a little bit about politics probably, because we cannot ignore the things that are happening now on the world stage, guys. I don't care what astrologers you follow. I don't care what you do in life. Yes, we cannot watch the news all the time. We don't have to be 24/7 involved. It's not healthy for you anyway. But if you're ignorant to the world you live in, then you're being ignorant to yourself, or you are ignorant to yourself, which makes you ignorant, which is not good. We need to be aware of our ignorance as humans so we can transcend it, which means we don't shy away from the truths of what's going on in the world. Otherwise, problems won't ever change, right? And this doesn't mean don't be an activist, but this means don't be afraid to understand what's happening. I will never pin one person against the other in my talks here when I bring up things in the world, because astrology doesn't care what you believe in. Astrology doesn't care what your political belief is. Astrology does not care almost about anything, because astrology just is, Like, does a pencil you use to write care about you or care about its environment? No, it's just a pencil. Now, yes, we can get metaphysical and say that the whole world is made of God consciousness. So yes, the pencil has a little bit of consciousness in it, but I think you understand what I mean. Astrology is a tool that is used by humans to calculate the here and now, time-space reality, the phenomena, the divine synchronicity of what a soul contract karmic life looks like. So when we talk about things going on in the world, when we talk about things going on in your life, it is nothing personal. It is just the fate and karma of this lifetime. Do we have an opportunity to change karma? Absolutely. Do our world leaders have an opportunity to change the karma of all the situations that go on? Absolutely. Do they? Never. They never do. Which is why history is important to know, because when you know your history and then you learn astrology, and if you're interested in really knowing how real astrology is, you can start tracking and mapping, which is something I talk about in my new mini masterclass. Tracking and mapping is how we can go back in our past and heal wounds and a lot of stuff. Tracking and mapping in the masterclass is more about personal healing and, optimization and stuff like that. But when you track and map history in collective astrology, you can see how patterns exist and how history doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes, right? Astrology will show us that there are repeating transits that don't make identical manifestations of our past, but it rhymes with our past. Now, this Mars-Uranus conjunction is going to have a lot to do with a couple of things politically. When Mercury conjoined Uranus last time was the day that Trump got sentenced in New York City. Now, July 11th is when Mars will be at the exact degree that Mercury was during that loose-ish conjunction when Trump got convicted. So this transit has a lot to do with politics. Yes, we're going to hear some things more about Trump, but actually, as of yesterday or today, the Supreme Court made some very, very powerful news about Trump being immune to certain things involving, I think, January 6th or some other stuff. And that presidents should have immunity to certain things. Okay, this is the beginning of that was one little moment, again, of this Mars-Uranus, signification for Trump, right? And what happened? The media is crazy. There's anger and rage from the left. Sudden insight, sudden revelation, sudden news. And then I would even argue Pluto opposite Mercury, considering Mercury was at that position during the conviction with Trump, which started a lot of these new, what does the future hold for Trump's presidency, or what's going on? We had a Pluto opposite Mercury yesterday and today. And then we have the Supreme Court thing, right? So Mercury is being opposed to the second most powerful transpersonal planet, Pluto, and you have Mars, a malefic, about applying very strongly now to Uranus. And then July 11th next week, I'm predicting that we're going to see something else happen with Trump when it comes to the lawsuit from New York, maybe something else. And again, guys, the astrology in a political sense is extremely powerful until further notice. In my Mars retrograde video I did a while back, a week or so ago, and how there's going to be so many retrogrades next year, heading into the spring 2025. How there's going to be massive, in my opinion, upheaval and very, very chaotic times in America with the whole election. Okay. But a lot of what's going on this summer is a prelude, and even some things that are going to occur and manifest that can really dictate what's going on with the election, period, full stop. Because now, after Biden's poor debate, with all of his speech issues and cognitive stuff, all of the Democrats are now really pushing for him to not be the president anymore. Like, usually in politics, something horrible can happen, and usually the media organizes together and the White House, and they kind of all, no matter how crazy something could have been, they all still stick behind like the president or someone. And they just sort of like play it off like, oh no, it was nothing. Like it's fine. He had a bad night, blah, blah, blah. But no, the media, the Democrat media, the liberal media, sorry, they're not letting up, right? Everybody is questioning, should Biden run still, right? And every day since that debate, the conversation has been getting stronger and stronger and stronger. So now Biden is a part of this astrological story, just as potent as Trump is, right? Because now we're talking about a sitting president being removed from the rite of passage of having a second opportunity. So this Mars-Uranus conjunction, I claim, will bring more information on Biden and his involvement in the presidency moving forward. I think there's going to be radical, sharp, out of nowhere things being said, things happening physically. I don't want to say someone might have a heart attack, but a Mars-Uranus conjunction can signify heart issues, like a heart attack. Because think about it. Uranus is all about, oh my God, shock, right? It's all about sudden earthquakes is another example for geological, type of events. So an earthquake happens out of nowhere. A heart attack happens out of nowhere. Something very physical is going to happen out of nowhere. Which means for someone like Biden or even Trump, something potentially very sharp and quick with someone's physical health might happen. So I'm also predicting something like that. And Mercury, being opposite Pluto, is making these sudden communication revelations much more intense. So the fact that Biden is getting a lot of pushback from his political side, the Democrats, right? And the liberal media that's supposed to be on the Democrat side, so to speak, right? This Pluto-Mercury opposition is very powerful for media, news, transforming a situation. The narratives of what the liberal media should be doing in support of Biden is doing the opposite. And we're literally having an opposition, right? So think about the symbolism. Think about the literal symbolism. Mercury is opposite Pluto, and the liberal media that should be on the side of the president, who has been vocally saying, I'm still running. But no, the liberal media and, sources within the Biden team or however that works, are actually being very vocal about him not being worthy to beat Donald Trump. Which to me, if you were someone who doesn't want Donald Trump to be the president, what the liberal media is doing is exactly what they should be doing. Because, to the liberal people who are persuaded by the liberal government, way of life, right? They believe Donald Trump to be the greatest threat. And they don't think Joe Biden could do that, can fight the job, can do the job. So this is a perfect Pluto opposite Mercury moment for that, right? And Mars conjunct Uranus is only making all of this more crazy, right? But again, when it comes to the Uranus story, when it comes to the Mars and Uranus story, we're dealing with sudden events, sudden shocking moments, revelations. And with Mercury conjunct Uranus, a month or so ago, it was the crazy news that Donald Trump, first sitting president, got convicted, right? And for the record, I'm not a liberal or a Republican, just so you guys know. I'm not neutral. I have my beliefs, but I don't believe that the current political system works. I'll just leave it at that. I think we're beyond repair in many ways, and I think the astrology proves that we're entering a new world where, again, we can't know the details, but we can't know the details, but we know the form. And I think we just all have to get ready to just, transform with the world that we're in. And, this is not anything different from our ancestors, like during the medieval ages into the Industrial Revolution. Our ancestors had to go through some wild historical transformations, and they didn't know what was going to happen next. And my Neptune video was really, had a lot to say about that as well. But the Mercury-Uranus conjunction was, again, that shocking news about Trump, right? The shocking communications that spread around the world. Now we're dealing with Mars, right? So now we're dealing with action, assertiveness. We're dealing with physical vitality, which can also be translated to Biden's lack of physical vitality. So Mars can be pointing us to a revelation in the next week or so that he may step down. And this is going to be a radical shift and sharp moment in American history where our sitting president is making an announcement, I'm not running anymore. That's a shock, right? Even though for some people it may not be a shock, but for the average person who doesn't really follow any of this stuff or doesn't know astrology, whatever, it's going to be a shock, right? And that's what Uranus is going to do. So I think both Trump and Biden are in the crosshairs right now of very serious Mars-Uranus energy, collectively speaking. And of course, in the world, there's going to be moments across the globe in every area, in every household where a Mars-Uranus influence is going to happen. In your life, in your neighbor's life, in everybody's living room, someone's going to have a Mars-Uranus story in their Taurus part of their birth chart. Now, I don't know where Biden's Taurus is in his birth chart, and I don't know where Trump's is. I don't have their charts memorized or anything. But wherever that's falling into their life, that's going to happen very personally there. But again, there's individual karma and collective karma. And the collective karma is showing that the astrology will be hitting these two men. And there's going to be very radical revelation in a Martian way. There might be even anger in the collective. We could see a sharp rise in some kind of protest, some kind of act of violence that could be very, very sudden and catastrophic. So again, Mars and Uranus can be very, very aggressive, very revelatory. Again, this can also look like an act of war. Like if for any reason, Israel, not to change my gears too quickly, but if for any reason, like Israel went on an offensive and bombed the heck out of somewhere, and it came out of nowhere, because right now Israel's not really in the media, like on TV, or if you go on YouTube and scroll, politics stuff, most people are talking about Biden. Most people are talking about other things. The Israel-Gaza thing, still going on, but it's not being shoved down our throats anymore. But the Mars-Uranus conjunction might shove something like that back into our face, because we could be dealing with conflict and war, physical, things, battle. But Biden is battling his health. The world knows it. The Mars-Uranus conjunction, I think, it's very hard to make a prediction on this, but, I'm saying if it does happen, this is the reason why. But the Pluto-Mercury opposition, super powerful in the last couple of days, especially after the debate thing. Again, Pluto opposite Mercury, the media turning on Biden, the media questioning his ability to be a president, when usually, typically in the past, the media would just pretend like he's okay the whole time and just continue on. But people are so scared of what Trump being president again would be, that this is the conversations we're having. And this is a very Platonic Mercury axis. And we're dealing with Leo as well. Leadership, right? Leaders, intense. You can't make this stuff up. And then Venus will get into Leo July 11th, which is the end of next week, I believe. And then we're going to see, what does that do? Right. And I'll talk more about that in another video, because I'm not, I haven't really intuitively checked in with what exactly that will be. But I think that's going to have a lot to do with what this Mars-Uranus conjunction kind of brings us, So I wouldn't be surprised if the Venus actually represents Kamala Harris, to be honest. Maybe I'll say that really quick before I conclude the video. Female, the feminine energy of Venus, typically, and I wouldn't be surprised if she takes on a leadership role. Maybe she's going to be the person that replaces Biden. So if we see a massive announcement with Mercury, just being opposite of Pluto, dealing with the media, dealing with these conversations that are rapidly shifting around the world and within politics, within all of our consciousness, I wouldn't be surprised if the Venus ingress opposite Pluto, even though it's an opposition, because again, there's going to be a lot of tension with that. It's not going to be, oh, yay, hooray, Kamala Harris. It's going to be, an integration of what that is. And again, that Mars-Uranus conjunction, this is all going to be a part of this political story. So guys, I mean, that literally just came to me. Kamala Harris might be the replacement with Venus's ingress. So we'll keep an eye out for that. Don't hold me to that, but it would make sense, wouldn't it? Venus entering the sign of leadership, the sign of courage, the sign of, again, it's a fire sign. And Mars is doing what it does, fire planet. But again, in the conversation of presidents, Leo, the leader, right? Venus enters in. It would make sense. All right, my friends. Well, that's all I have for you. I do hope you found this video informative, educational, entertaining. And once again, please like, comment, and subscribe if you stay to the end. Check out my description box below for all of my offerings. And yes, I will see you all in the next video.